What's up guys, this is Corey from Rigwell. Today I'm going to show you how to put in the Voodoo ladder in your Winnebago Revel. Alright, now I'm going to show you how to climb the Voodoo ladder. And that might sound funny because it's just a ladder, you can climb it however you want, but there's a couple little tricks and tips. First of all, if you have a step here, a lot of the vans will come with like some kind of hitch step or an aftermarket step. That's a really nice first step, but if you don't have that, you can grab the ladder. And this thing's super solid, so you can kind of give it a yank and step up to the first piece of plastic. Now these first few rungs with the screen here, you're gonna go just 1 foot in front of the other. So just left, right. And then you can see the crucial thing that I have here. This is the crossbar from the factory Revel roof rack. This is the best handhold for continuing to climb, and it makes it a lot safer. So we're going to go, once we get to the top part of the ladder, we have space for both of our feet. And now, stepping all the way up, you can see I'm on the very top of the van now. I like to step kind of towards the edge where the roof rail is. That's the strongest part of the body. You don't really want to step in the middle of the van. So getting back down, same thing. I'm grabbing the last crossbar. I'm going to find that first rung with my foot. Match it with my other foot, and then same thing all the way down. We're just gonna watch our feet, get them on the rungs, move our hands, and we're safely all the way down. That's it. That's how you climb the Voodoo ladder. Let's talk about all the pieces that come with the Voodoo ladder. Starting with the big pieces here. This is the upper section of the ladder. This would be the lower section of the ladder. You can tell this part has these cutouts, and that's for the foot. So it's a little longer here than it is up here. For the Revel, this is the specific foot just for the Revel, and it comes with a washer. And that also comes with the L-track stud. Up top is a 2-piece bracket. This guy goes like this. And your hardware bag is simply labeled top. This guy we call the knee. So this is what connects both the upper and lower part of the ladder together. And that hardware is in the knee and foot kit. And another bag you'll have is called wall. So this is simply just the bolts that connect to the factory D-pillar on the wall. And lastly, we have the caps. So these guys go on the side here and just cap everything off, make it look super nice. And you'll have a hardware bag labeled caps, and that'll be all your bolts and hardware for the caps. Let's go over the tools you're gonna need to do the install. So the big thing is riv nut tools. So they make a bunch of different style of these tools. This one's a manual crank one. I believe these are around like $100 or so on Amazon. If you're more of a professional shop, we use this pneumatic tool. That makes it go a lot quicker. They also have like super simple bolt and nut ones you can just tighten down. So whatever works for you, you'll need a riv nut tool. Next, just simple impact driver and a drill. You can get away with just a drill if you have that. No problem there. Now let's get into the finicky stuff here. So this guy is a socket, 7/16. That'll be all the nuts for pretty much everything on the Voodoo ladder. You'll use a ton of this guy. This is a 5/32 Allen. We just have a socket here. Like to put that on the impactor. Makes it go a lot quicker. 3/16. So another Allen. And then Torx, this is a T30, so this will be up at the door catch. You'll need a T30. Drill bit, this is for the riv nuts. This is 25/64. You can also use a step bit if you have one of those. You just gotta be really careful. You don't wanna make the hole too big for your riv nut. And then an important note is a stop collar on this. We'll get in that on the install of why those are really important. This is called a Forstner bit. So this is kind of a shallow bit just to take the plastic off around where we're going to put the riv nut. You can get those at any Home Depot. And then just a couple hex head drivers here, Phillips heads, a Sharpie, your standard ratchet, a deed burr tool, awesome to have, a knife, cut the felt, and then some touch-up paint, Rust-Oleum or anything like that works great just for all the holes that we're going to drill. So those are the basic tools, and let's get to the install. Before we get in the van, we have a little pre-assembly to do. So here we have the upper half of the ladder, the lower half of the ladder, and we call this guy the knee. So you have this one that kind of has some bends in it, and then this guy here. So the one that has the little flanges, that's going to sit on the inside here, and this one that doesn't have the flanges will sit on the outside. And basically those two are going to get sandwiched together, and they're going to combine the upper and the lower part of the ladder. Next up, we have clip nuts. Now, if you're not familiar with these guys, this is basically like putting a nut in that you don't have to hold. So it's really cool. They use all these square or rectangle little slots. Basically, these dudes have two little ears on either end. You're going to put it in the bottom, and you'll get one ear hooked on, and you can use a flat blade screwdriver to push down the other ear. And you'll hear it, it'll clip in, and you'll know you got it in there when both of the ears are sticking out of the outside. Corey from the future here. The next couple clips are filmed on the passenger side, but in reality, you're going to be doing all this work on the driver's side. All right, first step in the install, we have these black Phillip head screws. These guys are self-tapered, and they run along the inside of the bug screen. So we're just going to pull all these out all the way up. And there's also two in the front down here by the ledge. And once you get those out, you're just simply going to pull the Velcro off and just get this out of our way. The next step, we're going to move the Velcro. It's currently on the plastic molding here. You want to take it and peel it off and move it onto the metal. So basically what we're doing is we're just moving out the screen, and that's going to give the ladder just a little more room when we get that all installed. So the first step here is the Velcro is one continuous strip all the way up. So we're just going to take our knife and just cut right across here, and that'll just make it two pieces. Once you have that done, super simple. Just grab this stuff, it's really sticky. And once you have it pulled off the plastic, we're going to go ahead and just line it back up, and just with the metal. And you might have to like tuck it a little bit or kind of finesse it, but pretty straightforward. Just moving that Velcro and putting it on the body. And since we have all the screws out, this whole plastic is loose, so we can kind of just peel up and just kind of put it back down in there. This cover is held on again with some self-tappy screws. Next, we're going to take our Sharpie and just make 3 marks, one on each side of this factory door catch. And we're doing that so we know how to line it back up. So in the top hardware kit, you're going to have a bracket that's got some rectangular looking slots and then some longer ones, and then you have a bracket with the angle. So this guy, the flat one, goes on top, and then underneath will go the angle. In the top hardware kit, you have carriage bolts, and those are going to go into those rectangular slots and then get nuts on the back side. Okay, now that we have our bracket assembled, we got our carriage bolts in, we have our factory door latch that goes on top. And the last bit to note is we're going to reuse the factory T30 Torx, and we provided washers, and that's for this assembly here. So you have plenty of slop when you're putting this back together. You can line those Sharpie marks back up. I just brought the ladder over. Everything's still totally loose, and we will just want to mark on the plastic the holes. So you have 2 factory holes, and these guys are here and here, and the other ones are also factory holes, but those are the ones that need drilled out and put riv nuts in. So you just want to make sure you're working with the right holes. Now that we have our basic holes marked here, you're going to see we already drilled some out. We left this one undrilled, so we're going to show you how to do this on this hole here. So you can lift up the flap here, lift up the plastic, and see the hole behind where we marked. Now what you want to do is make sure that that hole or that dot we put on there lines up with that hole. And it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to use our Forstner, and this is quite a bit bigger than the hole itself. So you don't have to get it exactly lined up, but you want to try to do your best you can for knowing that this dot is on top of that hole. Forstner did its job. We can now see the hole. Our Velcro is covering up the hole a little bit, but no worries, we'll drill right through that. Not a problem at all. Safety glasses, and let's get this hole drilled. The stop collar is on our drill bit. There is some wires that run down here for the tail light, so it's really, really recommended to use a stop collar so that this drill bit's not going to punch in and grab those wires. And we're going to run our deburr tool in here. We're just going to grab some paint here, and you can use whatever paint you got laying around. Rust-Oleum, something like that works great. Just give that hole a little coating. We got our riv nut set on our tool. We're going to use the manual one here, but use whatever riv nut setter you got. Super straightforward. Just plug this guy in, and it might be a little tight. That's what you want. You want that hole to be nice and snug. And we're going to give her a crank. You can see we got our riv nut in here, but we've also already put all the other ones in. So it's just a step and repeat. You'll Forstner out the plastic, drill out your hole, set your riv nut all the way up through. And this is on the driver's side. The Voodoo ladder only works on the driver's side. Okay, one note while drilling Forstner holes here. You can see this guy, we kind of have this ugly hole here, and then how clean this one looks. This is because when we were prototyping how this whole system works, we drilled and had the Velcro still in place and just drilled through it, which in reality, you actually move the Velcro first, and then you can just cut around your hole. So your Velcro should look nice and neat, just like this one. Next, we're gonna put in the bottom foot. So this guy uses the factory puck, and this puck sometimes can be a bit of a bear to get the stud in. If that's the case, like ours is here, I cannot get that stud in because the Phillips screws in here are uneven. So all you have to do is take your drill and pull one of these out. Now you can slip the stud in. And once you have that guy in, you just put the screw back in without dropping it. Now you got to put the L-track little locking piece on top. Then we can put our bracket down, put our washer on top, and then just loosely thread on the nut. Now we got to put our screen back. So pull this back out, and the key here is, since we moved our Velcro out, we're going to want to realign the Velcro on this side and then tuck this little lip behind the plastic. But while we're doing that, you can see here, if I just tuck it in, you can easily cover up the holes. So we need to do it in a way that we're not covering up the holes so much, but we still have that lip like that, and we'll be able to access all of our riv nuts. We're going to grab our wall panel kit bolts, and we're just going to thread these in just loosely to start. So you can kind of pull the ladder up, get your M8 started, and just hand tight those down. But we're just going to put all these wall screws in now. Now that we have all the wall bolts in, we have our 1/4-20s here. This is out of our knee and foot kit. And these guys are simply just putting in, put our nuts on the back. There's 4 of these. Top bracket going in now. These are just 2 1/4-20s with nuts. And we just want to make sure this bracket is on the inside of the ladder, not the outside of the ladder. Now we're going to tighten down all of our wall bolts here. And we're kind of just going to go back and forth. You don't want to tighten any of one of these down all the way, or else you can really warp the side of the ladder. You have 2 1/4-20s, and then you have your 3/16 here. So you kind of got to juggle your sockets a little bit. And one note on this M8 here, you can't get it with the impactor, so you're going to have to do this old school with your hand and an Allen key. Now that we got the wall all tightened up, we're going to come down here to the foot. So what you want to do is push the foot up against real tight, up against this piece of angle, and just tighten it down. Now that we got this main stud tightened back here, we're going to want to flush up the side of the ladder with the front edge of the bracket here. Top bracket, we're going to put our factory Torx screws. We're going to tighten those back up and realign our Sharpie marks. We're going to tighten the 2 carriage bolts. There's no adjustment here, so you can just really tighten those down. This is the bracket that attaches to the ladder. We're going to use our Allen key and then the socket in the back. Next up, we're going to come back and tighten our knee. That should really be the last thing that's loose on the ladder. Now with the knee tight, you can give it the old shake test. Oh yeah, rock solid. Last step, we got to put our caps on. So there is a lower and an upper cap. The lower one is shorter, but it doesn't matter if you put it on this way or if you put it on this way. They're the same. So simply put this guy over top, and we got all of our cap screws here. You can kind of get it started. And these are slotted, so they should be plenty of room. Sometimes you might have to push in a little bit to get the screw started, like this guy. Now that we got the bottom just loose in place, we're going to do the exact same thing with the top one. Now we're going to go ahead and tighten these up. Before we do, these are slotted, so there's a bit of slop here. So if you want this gap to be nice and tight, I prefer it to be that way. You can kind of just slam this to the top and then just start tightening these all down. All right, guys, thank you so much for checking out the install video on the Voodoo ladder. If you guys need any help with this project, you can always give us a call or shoot us an email. Check out our other products at rigwell.com. All of our stuff is made in the United States, as always. We're super proud of that fact. Like and subscribe. If you want more van content, stay tuned here. We'll see you guys later.